So I'm just gonna start off by talking about some stuff in my life, and then I'll do like kind of a stream of thought kind of poem towards the end, so you guys will see. So here we go. I was 16 years old when I met him for the first time. I remember sitting in the front seat of my careers class when he walked in and handed the teacher this form. And the first thing I saw was his forearm with this amazing dragon tattoo. I was instantly interested. He was 18 years old, and he sat in the back of the class reading books with thousands of pages, not listening to a word being said in the class. On the odd day, he would tell stories in the class about tipping cows where he came from, or waking up on benches randomly because he drank too much the night before. And all of us 16-year-olds were so fascinated with everything he said. I started to crush on him a lot. Sometimes I'd look back and we would make eye contact, and it was amazing. He had like 4 NoFX t-shirts that he always wore, and one day he said he'd rip me some CDs. This was back in the day before LimeWire. He ripped me 2 NoFX CDs, and when I said I wanted like a more chilled CD or something, he got me Nirvana in utero. It was like more relaxed, and I have them to this day. Careers turned into civics class, and he came to the class a little less. It wasn't too long before he wasn't really in school anymore. I remember this one day I was heading out to the mall, Shoppers World to be specific, in Brampton. And like usual, I didn't really care about how he dressed, and that day my sister was like, dude, like try a little harder, dress up, and I didn't care. Obviously, I saw him that day at the mall. Just my luck. He was shopping around with his dad, and they had parted ways, and he followed me to Music World, so where I looked at $30 CDs. We looked around for CDs for a while, talking, making eye contact, and I was so nervous, I swore a bunch. At the end, he wrote down my email, my Hotmail. It was Cryptic Distortion at the time. And he added me on MSN. It wasn't too long before I was prancing around the house, completely in disbelief, when he asked me out on a date and said he'd pay for everything. I wore my favorite t-shirt. I was going to wear it tonight, but I was like, oh, it's a little old. I want to look a little better. It was 2 skeletons, like, making out. It was dope. Yeah, and some really nice jeans, and I asked my friend if I could borrow her skater shoes, because it looked good with the outfit. The date was amazing. We watched Pan's Labyrinth. He bought me 2 Taking Back Sunday CDs. This is a CD story. And In Flames as well, an album I really love, Come Clarity. And it was my first kiss, and it was his as well. I spent nights talking to him on the phone for hours. Too bad it was a cordless phone, so I was always listening on the other end. Months before I would have got a cell phone. Talking to him was so easy, and it was fun, and the moments of silence were also great. It wasn't too long before he told me he loved me, and I said it back. It was perfect. I grew up watching a lot of movies. Okay, my dad had a huge collection of movies, about 500 cassettes, a few hundred DVDs, and during my relationship, I watched this one movie called Goodbye, Uncle Tom. You see, guys, if you haven't noticed already, my first boyfriend was white. 6 foot, green eyes, dirty blonde, Norwegian descent, white. This came with its own chain of guilt. If not more so from being brought up a certain way, definitely after watching this movie. I was no stranger to the 600 years of Black North American history, so much so that my parents' #1 rule is do not date a white person because of the despicable actions we grew up hearing about. After watching that movie, I wanted to break up with him. I had to rationalize that I couldn't break up with someone that had treated me so well because of just something that I had seen. And that was very hard. Let's see. Sorry. Long story short, we broke up on my 17th birthday. My dad caught us kissing, more or less the worst day ever. This was about 9 years ago, and a lot has happened in that time. A lot of time to repeatedly ask myself the same questions, a lot of time to judge people around me, and a lot of time to make my own choices. I'm no longer close to my parents because on this day, actually, 3 years ago, I met someone. They found out and they would not talk to me. Perhaps they couldn't. Their convictions to their beliefs and their experience trumps me. It's not the saddest tale, but it's pretty sad, isn't it? My attraction seemed like a jest. It seemed like this big laugh in my face to me and my parents, and I feel like we failed that test. Living is about loving each other. I recently told my sister that me and the guy of 3 years had just broke up, and it was best that we be friends. I wrote laugh out loud a few times. I didn't want to get into detail too much. And she said, "What are you laughing about? You sacrificed so much for him." I didn't tell her this, but I didn't sacrifice anything for anyone but myself. I made a sacrifice for some peace of mind. Who I was attracted to should not cause any rift in my connection to my entire family. And it was really toxic. I walk around life now not truly understanding what all of this is for, and not grasping on the choices we make as these self-titled conscious beings. But we need to wake up and love each other. We need to take care of one another and surround ourselves with people we love and stop throwing all of our energy into things that we don't love, which seems to be kind of what we do. There are people out there that no matter what the titles and identity they were given to at birth cannot help but love you. Now I'm going to go into the poem. So there was a kind of a point where it's kind of in a slum, and there was a Netflix video I watched called Plus One, and there was a scene of this girl who met herself, like a copy of herself, and I just decided to write a poem of like, what would happen if I kind of came out to myself and had a discussion. So it can be argued, so here's the story. It could be argued, but nothing is truly identical. There's two sides of the brain, choices that are opposing, fighting. I met myself, just to get to the point. Wasn't a twin either, twins. What a thought. But she was me, I was her. The way I reacted to seeing her, me, was very strange. She smiled at me. I looked in shock. Why did she accept me so freely? I'm going to tell you a secret. That is what she told me. Sit down. The soles of her feet are going to start having pins and needles. She sat on my bed, and I sat on my computer chair. Come closer. She looked down. You want to. I'm going to try to answer the questions that gives you the most anxiety, an explanation about our existence. Stop asking questions. You are a product of the unknown. Everything that you prove will be disproven. All of your dreams could be your nightmares, but you'll never know until that moment. And what, she asked me? Only this moment exists, I said. Exactly. I won't say all things you want will come to you, but there's no harm in asking. I won't say don't waste your time crying, but when you do, do it with sincerity, as you should with everything. Do it with passion, as you should with everything. Do not blame yourself. Do not blame others. As the wind blows, it changes everything in its path. Know things won't always be one way. Know that death is near. Know that this moment is to be an experience, not one of joy or sorrow, just an experience. Also know that what I say will not change you. But when you look back into yourself and you see me, accept me and all you are, with no regrets, with no questions, because your universe, your answer is within you. It cannot be found anywhere else. Don't dull yourself with distractions. Don't scream at your pleading thoughts. Keep things a secret, make people assume, so your truth isn't flawed by theirs. We are all different, every single one of us, but we are all in an experience unknown together. I can go on with a list of advice. Just know that something always started from nothing. You'll never get all your answers. It's okay. Enjoy the roller coaster while it's here. It has an ending. My eyes started to water. Please don't cry, she asked. I'm so overwhelmed, I screamed. Those are not answers. I'll always freak out. I'll always be afraid. She smirked. And what's wrong with that? Are you serious? What a question. What do you want to feel? Joy all the fucking time? Do you not want to question things, come up with your own ideas, your own reality? You want me to tell you the truth? What would that change? Would the questions ever end? Answer your own questions. Enjoy your experience, and could you stop wishing for death? You're not gonna get it. When you die, it will be like your birth. The very moment you are brought into this world, the moment you are taken out, you are not aware that you are alive or dead. It just happens. There will always be a blur between one world and the next. Why are you telling me all of this? My face burning up. Because I'm not happy inside of you. You're asking all the wrong questions, doubting and wasting my time, my dreams, our potential. I looked at her in shock. Come back to your center, your core. Do the things you are capable of doing. Do not question if it is possible. Look around you. Does it look like there's much impossible that's impossible? Listen to others and help where you can. Give back and take what is offered. Give others the answers you've been given. Feel with sincerity and passion. And most of all, get your head out of your ass. I'm here for you. I will never leave you. Give me a hug. I love you. I went to give her a hug, and it was the warmest hug, the best puzzle piece. It was melting me. She pulled me back. See you on the inside, she smirked, a jail reference. Then she burst into dust. I spent the rest of the night breathing her in.